So guys, it's looking like Microsoft might actually not get their hands on the next Metal Gear Solid, the next Silent Hill, the next Castlevania. With the last one's a little bit more of a rumor than the other ones, but this is possibilities, and I think it's really bad possibilities. But what's going on, you guys? Gaming Out here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about timed exclusives. You guys know those games that only show up on a platform for a certain amount of time, and then after that goes to another platform. You know what console does this a lot right now? PlayStation. Nintendo does it too. Microsoft does it to a point as well. But it seems like PlayStation is going out and getting the bigger titles. The titles that you would expect to be on all platforms. Microsoft's doing something similar, but they're just buying the actual company that makes them, and then they're making them first party, which makes more sense because if you invest in the ecosystem, you buy the ecosystem, you know, that makes more... No, I feel like that's more acceptable than just going out here and handing people bags of money. But anyway, let's go on with what's going on. So as you can see here, according to Nick from Xbox Era, shout out to him, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake might be an upcoming PlayStation showcase and will have some sort of exclusivity attached to it. His source thinks and is not 100% sure. This wouldn't really mean a whole lot, but then you see this happen. Jazz quote tweeted it, and he said, heard similar about Metal Gear exclusivity for PlayStation, by the way. So he is co-signing Metal Gear. And then he said, someone says, is this what Blue Point is working on? And then Jess said, not sure on that. Just heard Sony landed a deal with Konami for Silent Hill, Metal Gear, and maybe even Castlevania. All right, first off, let's talk about how Xbox handles timed exclusives currently. They do it, but I feel like they do it more on an indie state, like where they do smaller projects. Sure, they'll get bigger, companies to give them smaller projects where they do it, but I feel like their general focus more is on Game Pass right now. They care more about if a game is on Game Pass day one than they care about if that game is timed exclusive on their platform or full-blown exclusive. We see stuff like Final Fantasy VII looks like that game's never going to come to the Xbox platform. Is that a bad thing to do? No, I think that is a solid way of doing things. But to me, you can open up some of those floodgates when it comes to how you used to do with the BioShocks and the Mass Effects. These really captivated the 360, gave really high quality IPs on the platform, and it did really good. Now, when I look at something like this, Konami, Square Enix first, now Konami, it's not a good look because Sony seems like, obviously, they don't have the money to go out and compete the way PlayStation does. So it seems like what they're doing is they're like, look, we can't go out there and buy full-blown exclusives. We can't go out there and buy, well, to a point. They do what was like Square Enix from Final Fantasy, and they can't go out there and just buy full-blown publishing arms with all the studios that come with it. Takes a lot of money, and Sony has that kind of money, and I think they could easily get some of that approved, but it's easier for Microsoft to go out there and play with money they have in cash than it is for Sony to potentially play with money that can bankrupt the company. Microsoft can go out there and spend 80, 90 billion dollars, and sure, that's going to sting, and people are probably going to lose their job if it doesn't work out for them, but it's not going to hurt the company. Sony go out there and make that kind of deal, it could potentially be a domino effect that leads to the company, closing down stuff, selling stuff. And, obviously it's easier just to go out there and buy these timed exclusives. We've seen Sony be very aggressive with Square Enix. They went to Square Enix and they're pretty much like, look, we like all your games. We want Final Fantasy on our platform. We want Forspoken on our platform. There's a lot of things they're doing over there with them. And to me, when I'm looking at that, I'm just like, Microsoft, you got to step it up. Sure, go after your Game Pass games. And I think you could do better on that end too, where you can find more high quality AAA products that people really generally gravitate towards, like Resident Evil. I get those probably aren't the easiest conversations, and it might cost more money than you're willing to put up, but I do feel like that's a conversation you needed to have nonetheless. When you don't get these kind of games like Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Castlevania, it gives a perception that you're starting to lose traction of the majority of the highest, most classic games that everyone knows about. Right now, we might not be putting a whole lot of thought into this, but imagine Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake comes out, not on Xbox. Sure, some people might not say too much on that because it's one One title, one IP. Then the next Silent Hill comes out. Quality game on PlayStation exclusive, no Xbox. Then people start side-eyeing that. What's going on with that? Then Castlevania comes out. Quality game on PlayStation, no Xbox. Now, that's going out and saying that all these games are going to be quality. We have no way of knowing that. Don't even know the studio to most of these. But I do know that if they do a decent job to a good job, it's going to look good on their platform. Like I said earlier, these are classic games that people have loved for years. And the fact that it's only on PlayStation is going to be very, very beneficial to PlayStation. And not to mention with Final Fantasies and Square Enix in general and the stuff that they've been doing, imagine when you start adding that with Konami. PlayStation is literally going out there and talking the entire publishing arms to get these games to compete with Xbox buying entire companies. Sure, I would say one is more acceptable than the other, but guess what? The industry doesn't care if you do either. And to me, you got to do both. Sure, you go out there and you buy the Bethesdas and you nurture those studios and you bring them up to code, but you also go out there and, Konami, what you working on? Do you need any help? What's it going to take to make this an exclusive? We need to bring value to our platform. I do think that maybe we're a little too late in this matter because it's been so long. Microsoft, especially how Phil Spencer talked about in his Kind of Funny interview, it seems like they're starting to come to the intel of the development cycles on a lot of these games, and he's starting to feel confident they're going to get these games out pretty consistently. If that works good, that works good. Get Avowed, Hellblade, State of Decay, perhaps. All these games eventually start coming out, and you won't get hit as hard because you actually have a lot of these, popular games coming out and doing well if they have quality behind them. But even with these games coming out, I do feel that Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and Castlevania is huge IPs that is hard to replace. And the fact that they wouldn't be on your platform at all is very devastating to the image when they do come out. Something Microsoft needs to work on. I really do think that you can easily still get games in Game Pass and make sure some of them, not all of them, I'm not asking them to go out there to every company and get an exclusive, but I am asking if it makes sense and you think it would actually help the perception of your company, because let's be real, the perception of Xbox isn't the greatest right now. You can do both. But anyway, put in the comment section below how you guys feel about this. Do you think that this is something that needs to be done? I'm curious to hear your guys' opinion. Until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.